Entrepreneur seems to be quite a trendy title these days. When I was growing up, my dad was a businessman. He ran his own retail interior design business and was workaholic, and I had no desire to go into the world of businessman. I just wanted to be a product designer, create beautiful, functional products for people to ease their lives. But as many things in life, it came full circle, and when presented with the opportunity to launch the product, I became a workaholic and I'm called an entrepreneur rather than a businessman. To me, what does entrepreneur really mean? I think when you look at a lot of the successful business people, they have a huge amount of drive, they have a huge amount of determination, and running a business just is not easy. If it was, everyone would be doing it, and it takes a real skill to take, in my case, or with fellows in my industry, taking an idea and getting it to market. In fact, having the idea is the really easy part. Taking an idea and creating a product or service that you can then launch is pretty tricky, but then when you actually get to market, that's when the real hard work starts. The idea was prompted really by entering a national luggage design competition while I was at university. I was just a second year student and drifted along to a local department store in Newcastle to find some inspiration. Found myself in the adult luggage section, looking at different designs and ideas, but really noted that hard moulded plastic suitcases were all the rage, and I was learning a lot about designing for injection moulding. I then drifted off into the kids' toy section. I don't know why, maybe it's the inner child in me, but found myself looking at the ride-on toys and kind of having travelled quite a bit myself. Knew kids get bored when they were travelling, and just thought, why not make a ride-on toy but that functions primarily as a suitcase, and sculpt it and make it ergonomic for kids using the adult manufacturing technology. So what seemed like a really simple, obvious idea, a ride-on suitcase for children, had a huge barrier to entry to actually get it to market. So initially, the judges from that design competition took me aside and said, "Rob, you've got quite a commercial idea here, you should try and license it." I thought, brilliant, what a great idea. So I contacted the largest British luggage manufacturer back then, Carlton, and they politely told me I'd invented a toy. I then contacted toy companies and they politely told me I had invented luggage. So no one really wanted to take it on because it was kind of a cross-category product. When I first started trading, I actually then licensed the product to a toy company in 2003. So 6 years later of knocking on a fair few doors, a startup toy company took the design on. We signed a global licensing deal, and 3 years later they went bust. They only achieved one customer, and that was in Saudi Arabia. So Trunki had never been anywhere other than the Middle East. So I was quite disappointed by the results. I was always egged on by friends and family saying it's such a great idea, it really should fly. And while I was a design consultant, I was working for major blue chip brands, working for marketing people, and it was really that kind of insight into the power of good marketing that kind of allowed me to relaunch Trunki as a lifestyle brand, not a cheap ride-on toy. But no sooner as I started, the manufacturer in China that had been used previously went bust. And then when I first got my first container over of Terence and Trixie's, the pink and blue suitcases, a couple of months later, the government decided to ban hand luggage. It was the height of the terrorist threats, you may remember, in 2006, and I just launched a piece of children's hand luggage. So it kind of, over that experience over a number of years, helped me grow some fairly thick skin. I'd been working around the world in New York, Australia, and came back to the UK in 2002. Despite having a glowing CV and freelancing for some of the best design consultancies in London, I couldn't secure a full-time job because no one was really hiring. I did have some time to blow the dust off the Trunki concept and approached the Prince's Trust to see if they could support me. Unfortunately, back then I qualified for one of their mentoring programs. So really, really valid mentoring I got from my mentor, and also got a £4,000 loan and a £500 grant. The idea for actually going on Dragon's Den was a pretty quick decision. I needed money, I needed marketing, and I needed some guidance and some business support. So when it was actually my Prince's Trust mentor emailed me saying, "Oh, I've just met a researcher for the BBC. If you're interested in going on the show, contact her." 5 seconds later, I was writing an email. The subject was Dragon's Ride on Trunki, and within a matter of days, I was rushed through BBC Television Centre doing screenshots and things, and they put me in that series. When I went on the show, I was pretty confident. My target was Richard Farley because he had some toddlers, and the pitch went almost perfectly. I was towing Richard Farley around the studio, and it was all going so well until Theo got his hands on poor Trixie, the pink Trunki, and ripped off her towing strap. So it kind of all started tumbling downhill, but I went on asking for 10% for £100,000, willing to negotiate up to 20%. But after 4 of the dragons went out and only Richard was left, he saw an opportunity to land grab and went for 50%. But there was no way I could give that much of the company away, so I had to decline and walk away empty-handed. Leaving the den straight after, I remember meeting a friend of mine who was working in London and crying over a pint, thinking, oh, why hadn't I invented a time machine and not a ride on suitcase? And the episode didn't air for the next 6 months. So over that period of time, we started trading with America, started winning awards, getting a lot of press, and the business really started growing, although that was still just me on my own, working from my bedroom. But the business started getting some momentum, and then a couple of days before the episode aired, the BBC started running adverts called Really Rubbish, and I kind of knew this was going to be a serious case of damage limitation. When the episode aired, I was expecting to get a good 10-minute slot, but probably not a very good actual marketing piece for Trunki. So I put up a survey on the website thinking I'll get some traffic, but I won't make a sale, but I might as well ask people what they think of the product. And that night, over 2,000 people filled in the survey with phenomenal words of support. It was a real sort of turning point for me, after having overcome quite a lot of adversity to get there, that I just saw straight away that the public just loved the product. And fortunately, being on BBC One, it catapulted us to almost national recognition overnight. I think Trunki's really been successful because it understands we've got 2 customers. We've got the parent and the child. Mum or dad want functionality and utility to get their value, so we offer something for them, hassle-free travel through the airports. But the children absolutely fall in love with the product, so they're oozing character. And the kids, we get letters from parents saying their kids are taking their Trunkis to bed with them. They really believe they're their little pet, and such a great tool to have for 3, 4, 5 years of their lives to actually go on all these international adventures. I guess being more of a creative, success to me isn't so much about the numbers and the finance side of things. It's more about what you're achieving. So to have sold over 3 million suitcases, Trunkis, to the world, and allowing over 3 million families to have happier travels is a huge achievement to me. Just looking at our Instagram feed every day, I just get such a buzz from seeing happy families travelling with our beautiful, brightly coloured products. So that's something that I'm very, very proud of, and the kind of financial reward kind of comes as part of that, but it's not my main focus. Getting great products that ease people's lives to the shelf is really what drives me. I think one of the things I've learned about how to get ahead in a crowded marketplace is about really focusing on one thing and trying to be the best in the world at doing it. So for us, we discovered after launching Trunki that there's a huge opportunity for children's travel because no one was really doing it. So that became our mantra. We pioneer children's travel gear, and everything we do is around that. We don't make toys. We don't get distracted by all these inventors who contacted us saying, oh, can you make a tap or a plumbing device or whatever it may be. We're just laser focused on that one category, and put all our energy into driving that forward and become globally recognised for doing so. Innovation's a very common word these days, and it's talked about a lot. But to me, innovation is about trying something different and getting it to market. The biggest challenge with doing so is you never get it perfect first time. We're all familiar with software on betas and versions 1, 2, 3s, 3.3s, etc. But with product, it's the same journey, but people expect you to launch almost a perfect product to start with. So there's a huge amount of work that you have to do early on, prototyping, trying to talk to your customers, getting the product right. And that's whether it's a physical product or a service. And then you launch to market with something you think will meet market demand, but until you let it go, you've no idea. And the most important thing with innovation or launching something new is to listen to what the market says back. So with Trunki, I originally designed it with no carry handles on the top because my research said children shouldn't carry heavy bags. So I took the handles off, thinking children can just tow it along. Parents said, put some bloody handles on top of it because I'm always having to carry it up the stairs. So we put handles on, we listened to the consumer. So I think it's really important for someone, once they've developed and launched a product or service, just to be very open to people's feedback and being very flexible and nimble to react to those market demands and what you're hearing, and keep innovating. I mean, the Trunki suitcase is on its 5th version now. We launched that in 2012, so it's gone through 5 iterations to become close to perfection. I guess in parallel to running the business, I've been going on a bit of a journey around speaking too. So initially I was invited to speak at a local sort of business club in Bristol. My nerves were sky high. I used to hate presenting my work at university, but kind of felt that I needed to put myself through the mill a bit, get a lot more confidence, because at the end of the day I'm having to present my product to international distributors, retailers and potential financing companies. So I felt it was something I had to try, and I was amazed at the feedback I got after the end of the talk I gave. The adversity I've overcome just seems to have been just every day, whatever you get on with. But most people are like, wow, that's quite a lot you've had to fight through. And to me, just business is common sense. I'm a highly trained problem solver, and just using my problem solving skills in business seems to have done really well. So lots of people are surprisingly very interested in hearing my story. So I get a lot from sharing my story and from the questions and answers afterwards, and talking to people in general about how I've managed to achieve where we've got to. So I really enjoy doing it now. So I really like to take an audience on a bit of a visual journey of my experience. So from 20 to 40 minutes, I'll talk about initially kind of how the idea came to me, how I started the business, some of the adversity I had to overcome initially, then sort of fast forward to some of the successful milestones we've achieved, and then sort of build the gap between those by either talking about kind of leadership and how I've created a strong mission, vision, value structure around the organisation. I might be talking about innovation, how we've used innovation through our marketing and launching products on crowdfunding platforms. I might, depending on the audience, talk about manufacturing and reshoring and the value that's added to our business, both financially, operationally, and from a branding position. So there's a couple of different ways I can tail off the discussion, but I absolutely love the Q&A at the end, so I always hope there's enough time to really have audience questions.